Hey you, and welcome. In this video, we will learn about arrow functions. So let's dive right into it. I'm going to open the Quokka again, take away the terminal, and let's get started writing some code. I'll start by writing an object, and this object will have a name key assigned to a value. Let's call it something. And it will also have a function, change name. And this function would be a anonymous function. And we'll change this.name equals to new name. Great. Let's console log our obj.name value twice. And after that, in the middle of the two console logs, I will call obj.changeName like so. And we can see that on line number 8, we have the value something, which is the original value of the name. And then line number 12, it changes to the new name. So that's a proper functionality of that function. Now, notice what happens when I change it to an arrow function that we have looked at before. I'll take away the function keyword and put an arrow right after that. And notice that something on line number 8 hasn't changed on line number 12. It's still something. And the reason for that is because the arrow function doesn't have the context of this. And that's one of the things I wanted to show about the arrow function is that whenever you need to have access to this, you need to use a anonymous function over arrow functions. Let's take that away. And that would make it work. All right, so that's one difference between the regular functions and the arrow function. Also, arrow functions have a lot of variety of syntax that may throw you off. So just wanted to show you a few of those. I have a Firefox open with the documentation for the arrow function. Let's go over to that. I'll zoom in a little bit. And there we go. In the MDN documentation for the arrow functions, we have a parentheses, arrow, and then the expression, which would be the business logic that you want to run. Then you can also have a parameter, then expression, or you can have parameters inside parentheses, then expression, or you can have multiple parameters expression. You can also have a statement inside the curly braces, or you can have no parentheses and the statement. So there's a few different ways to work with it. Let's see what they are and what's the difference, what's the real difference, and maybe your style guide will change accordingly, right? All right, let's go back to VS Code. So first things first, a very simple example of that, I will write a function called sum. And actually, instead of sum, just say print. Just print something for me. And it will accept a string parameter, and it will return that string parameter as is. So this function doesn't really do anything much. It's just going to return whatever you pass it. So it's like an echo. Instead of calling it print, let's call it echo. All right, so let's call this echo function, and I'll say hello, and it will return back hello to me. So that's a regular arrow function, not much going on. It's just returning whatever it already has. Now, if I was to refactor this a little bit and say, put the curly braces, notice it will stop working. And the reason for that is because we are not returning the string anymore. This string needs to be returned like this. So when you put curly braces, it's not automatically returning the expression that may take place on the right hand side of the arrow function. When you put the curly braces, you have to explicitly say return this value. So you could do something before, let's say I will re-evaluate something, use the string interpolation, provide a string value with extra sauce, like so. And then instead of returning string, we will return reevaluate, and notice how it changes. So that's a benefit of curly braces, that you can put more logic beforehand and then return anything that you would like to. Another part of it is the string that we are accepting as a parameter. Notice what happens if I want to accept more parameters. I would have to put a comma and say another param, and the whole thing breaks. The reason for that is because we don't have parentheses. Parentheses are not required if it's only going to be one parameter for the function. But if there's many parameters for the function, parentheses are required. So that's how we can ask for more parameters, and we can say put next parameter over here, take away some extra sauce, and put these together and call the name of this to concat. Let's call concat with hello, and then say world. There we go, it's concatenating just fine. So those are different syntaxes of arrow function and why you would use one over the other. Style guide is up in the air. Some people prefer to put parentheses and curlies all the time. Some people say don't need curlies when you're returning a small expression, whereas if you're doing some business logic, put curlies. So it's all up to you. All right, I'll see you all in the next video.